Hi, my name is Casey Shreve, and I'm a game designer, and I'd like to share with you a little bit about what I've been doing. I'm currently making a game that I'm lovingly calling a StarFox-Like. It is untitled, and I'm calling it that because it is a on-rails shooter that is a spaceship fighter pilot kind of simulator. So, I've been focusing a lot on character controller. I want it to feel very nice and flow well. So, what I have been doing for that is working on things like rotation and aiming and all sorts of stuff. Originally, I had rotation being the driving factor for the ship. That produced very unstable results, and aiming was an absolute nightmare. Now I have it so you actually control the reticle and not the ship, and it makes aiming a hell of a lot more stable. Another thing I have is I originally had it with this new change that the rotation was hard-coded in a C# script. That it looked okay, but it didn't feel okay actually playing it and trying to aim. So what I have now is the rotation is an animation in Unity's mechanism system, and the mechanism is a state machine, and you can see it go rotate left state, idle, rotate right state. And doing it that way allows me to control not only the states themselves, but actually adding more states and animations at a later date. Things like the ship going haywire when you get punched, or if I have something that disables your ship, I can show that to the player through an animation. Easily accessed in the mechanism state machine. So let's talk a little bit about aiming. So as I mentioned before, you control the reticle, and the reticle drags the ship along with it. There's a little bit of a give before the ship actually drags, so a little bit of a dead zone to allow you to plant yourself in a location and fire within that area. This kind of adds a little bit of misnomer. So if you are not in the right orientation, it's very hard to hit your target. Not impossible, just difficult. So you have to drag your ship to a good orientation before you can just waylay to your opponent. Doing it this way has a really cool effect where you have to put your ship in harm's way to fire back at your opponents. So as they fire at you, you have to kind of judge when to get in their line of fire and when to get out. This also means that if there are obstacles, say an asteroid or an exploding satellite or something coming right at you, you have to completely disengage your aim to move out of the way and then get back into firing stance, I guess you could call it. Uh, how I did this was there are two different reticles. First is your main reticle, which is what your camera is attached to. That is the rounded white square. I'm going to keep in mind all art, how the ship looks, how the reticles look, your targets. This is all just stand-in while I get the programming correct and everything else on it. Those will change over time. So the first reticle is what your camera's attached to. That's what you're actually looking at. I have it so the ship is dragged by it. So as you move it out of the dead zone, the ship moves. The next is the red X. That is actually attached to an invisible object on the nose of the plane where the bullets come out of. So the bullets are always pointing through that red X. The idea is to have the red X and the square in conjunction with each other to better give a visualization of where your bullets are approximately going to go. Like I said, when you're out of orientation, it's not perfect. But with a little bit of practice, you can get a real nice feel for where your bullets are going to go based on the two reticles. I'm getting pretty good at this. Die! Let's talk a little bit about narrative design. I'm planning on having this game have very little exposition. Uh, the story is going to be you're kind of like a punk rock chick who set up a camp or a house inside of a dead spaceship. Your planet gets attacked and ultimately destroyed. The ship comes alive with you in it, and you kind of start a joyride. And that is the story. I plan on having Star Fox style ship-to-ship communications play out through each mission, and that will be the story. I'm also planning on having the player being able to react to those communications they get, either through dialogue choices or maybe shoot a target or something. I haven't decided on that yet. I do want that to affect your levels. So very much like the Star Fox hidden paths, you'll be able to have different enemies, different bosses, different routes to take through each level depending on how you react to the story. For right now, the plan is to have a playable demo hopefully by GDC next month. So by the end of next month, I'm really hoping to have this in my resume. For right now, I'm really, really digging this. I mean, just shooting these two little targets I have is actually kind of entertaining, or at least I think so. So once again, my name is Casey Shreve. I am a game designer, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I sure enjoyed making this, and I'm going to continue to work on this. I'm definitely going to have to figure out what badass spaceship I want to have fly around. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. More updates to come throughout this and next month. Alright, have a good one.